Soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Edison John, doing his vintage set.
I must have a woman to come and wine up on me.
And King Alpha. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast, a mix of legends and rising stars. Ashanti, Educator, Desro, Manchas, Black Eye. Short Pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m. Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120. Regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barbershop and The Way. Sponsored by Republic Bank, Massey Stores, First Citizen, IBS Solution, Piton Bear, Crystal Clear Water, Flow, and the Independence Committee.
Come on, come on
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins. Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McPressure improves sleep and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea, and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417, let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile and reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lady opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man.
Another wonderful Friday afternoon to you, everyone. Thank you so very much for tuning. Daniel, your host and producer, alongside our technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph. thanking God for life and all the good things, and thanking Him for allowing an initial cycle of the real issues. Our program, as you know, airs weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on the radio station. That's Real FM, serving you on the frequencies of 91.3 megahertz for the north and 91.5 for the south. We're also on our sister television station, MBC Channel 120, on the Flow Cable TV service. We are available on Facebook Live and YouTube live streaming. And I want to stress the YouTube. I think many of us forget that you can also get the real issues on YouTube, all right? So if Facebook's giving you a bit of problems, you can go to any given time on the Facebook. It's because we also have people on the YouTube simultaneously watching. So the viewership is not going to be reflected as high on one platform because it is being shared among more than one. All right. There are also many people who are not into social media, and I'm surprised you hear them saying how they listen to the program every day. They're following us on the radio. They're following us on the TV. So the kind of stats that we would know or have an approximate idea of our total viewership, it's because many are what we would call the older demographic, the traditionalists, and so they're not into social media. They're into their radio and their television. Love you just the same. Those of you on the Facebook Live family, continue keeping it going and holding it together as you have been doing in a very self-sustaining way. Good afternoon to those of you who are always with us on the Real Issues WhatsApp chat group. You know, a thought occurred to me this morning, and it's kind of speculative inside people's heads, or to second guess or to extrapolate and say, if this was so, I know that these people or that person would behave in this particular way. There is a fallacy of reasoning which I think in Latin is termed, which means that because this happened after that, then it means that this must have happened because of that. In some cases it is true, but it is not always true that because one thing to the other, things can be separate, but the sequence in which they manifest themselves can be different. The fact that you hear thunder after lightning does not mean that the thunder is caused by the lightning. Manifestations that reach us from the very same reaction or explosion that takes place somewhere in the clouds because of some electrical discharge and so on. You hear the thunder after the lightning because sound moves slower, much slower than light. So the lightning aspect of that thunder, that our perception of one is definitely going to lag behind the other, but it isn't that one causes the other. Lightning doesn't cause thunder any more than thunder causes lightning. They're caused by the same thing, but they exist in ranges of the speed and perception spectrum where the light is going to be seen well before the sound travels and it is heard. Very little to nothing from the United Workers' Party as a party. You've heard nothing of an announcement of we'll be doing a retreat, we'll be doing a postmortem, we'll be doing some introspection, we'll be doing some soul searching to find out, hey, what went wrong? Why did we not just lose, but lose so badly? And it's not the first time we've lost two elections quite badly in succession. And despite all that we said about the poor performance, allegedly, supposedly, reputedly, of the St. Lucia Labour Party, they obviously have gained and increased the confidence of the people, their credibility with the people who obviously believe their message and bought into their vision and plan for St. Lucia far, far, far outstrips us. So you haven't heard that. You've heard almost nothing from the political leader, I think he still is, Mr. Alan Chasney. You've heard nothing from the most known familiar face. The buses were usually so heavily loaded, whether the passenger buses of whoever they were, Nonos and Ronick and Horico, Billy Bees that were carrying loads of stones and gravel and just barely, rivaling a snail in going up a hill. And there was a time where you're rich, before the bus could start, you had to time it well. Some people were able to do it well, or on any given day they were lucky. Sometimes when you landed on the asphalt pavement of the road, the very bus that you were hopping had been dropping stones, those little chips of crushed stone and so on. And sometimes you'd land on that very thing, that the bus was dropping, and so you couldn't keep your footing and you'd take a spill. Donate some skin to the road, cliche. We would like to say cliche. When you bail off, some people knew how to do it very well. People would be there laughing, watching at you, cliche, and you would try to hide it because there's this embarrassment, this macho thing. You don't want people to know that you cliche, that you got scraped and so on. Or sometimes you were in a lot of pain, but you would get up and pretend, nothing was wrong and try to walk off, Like, hey, what's the big it was that had gotten banged and you don't want any people to see. So I figured that the EWP, having not bailed off but been pushed off the moving bus of St. Lucian decision and choice, that they want to show the extent of their injury. They want to try to put on as much of a straight face as possible. And so you just don't hear from them. They must go and this and that, and we knew we were not, even the people you thought would let fly, would not be able to hold their horses and keep their cool. They have been surprisingly cool. I could call some names, because before that they had been saying that, Alan Chasney is a basically no brainer, no winner. We're not going anywhere with him. But this time I find they're really quiet. They're really quiet. They're not saying anything. Like I said, the people you thought, even the opportunists would see this as an as a chance, to come and to perhaps ingratiate themselves and to position themselves or posture in a manner that they can, maybe curry some favor with the Labour Party, which is, it seems, impregnably entrenched now. Not necessarily things can change overnight, but there's some people, they come and they try to curry favor by cussing at. I don't see any of that. They seem to be, if not holding ranks, they seem to be holding their nerve. They seem to be holding their discipline in the sense of not going and kick their party while it is down and malpalaying it and movie-longing it and so on. They don't seem to be doing that. And I said to myself, I wonder if it were the Labour Party who had suffered that kind of election defeat, who seemed to be staring into the face of a future that was almost hopeless, certainly merciless, a future that seemed to be with very little prospect to it, with very little chance. Whether I would not be hearing a chorus of guys, them fellas had to lose it, them fellas don't want to lose, don't want to listen to anybody, them fellas, they ignoring their supporters, them fellas and looking out for their people is the flabos, and look at all the flabos, vote them out, and I talked to this one, and I talked to people already, and they ain't hearing nothing, and you see Ernest is another one, and it would go on and on and on like that. They would virtually be dancing on the grave of their own party. Eventually, they close ranks. Labour Party people, when they sour and they're upset and they're disappointed, they say things. And later on, they'll mount some of the best demonstrations and protests and marches and pickets and all of that when they're in opposition. Labour Party is strong in government now because of the numbers, but I'm telling opposition, whether Labour Party, the people who tend to call talk shows and are outspoken and so on, whether they would have been maintaining this kind of, just stay quiet, don't say anything, just prowl, just look, just talk. Wait for when the Labour Party make a mistake. Wait for when some of the headwinds and crossweather thing might end up, giving them a good body blow so we can pounce. Let's wait to see how Trump and his visa thing and deportations thing, how it might affect St. Lucia, and then we jump up if I told you so. Let's see how the CIP turns out and so on, so we can go and accuse them of mismanagement and fraud and embezzlement and the theft of 1.2 billion by one person and all this kind of thing. Let's just wait. That's what this is what they're doing now. They're talking about elections and those things. Only a few of them unwisely, step up. Labour Party mess up, and then their tails would be right up, and they would be swarming. You would swear that 10 of them are 10,000. Because of the noise they would be making across all spectra. of social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. I mean, they would be there. They would be absolutely saturating and bombarding. But for now, they know to keep their head down, to stay fairly quiet. If they have any plans to do anything internal, any kind of review, any kind of bloodletting, any kind of, Alan Shastney must go thing, whatever it is, if they have any of that, they keeping quiet, they're making their plans for their convention, for whatever it is, but they ain't out there tearing into their party. And I wonder if I'm right. If there is so far, don't have. Maybe it's a good thing. People say it is because the average Liberite is a more intelligent, independent thinking person. So, they will not be the kind of people who will mindlessly just submit and just, follow behind anybody and stay quiet if they see something is wrong. That is all about the party and so on. And it is that energy too can be true. So maybe you can share your thoughts with me on that. Although that's not the main topic, I'll tell you after a video that John Emmanuel supplied from the new ministry under Honorable Emma Hippolyte. And again, I want to congratulate John. He really is out there as a ministry communications officer, making sure the initiatives, the programs, the activities, of the ministry. When he was working with Honorable Joachim Henry, now it has basically moved to Honorable Emma Hippolyte. John, you're right up there, my friend. Keep it up. You don't have to wait for somebody to call you and to ask you for an interview or material or to arrange an interview. You're out there. Appreciative of you for that. Very happy with you for that. And I want to tell you, continue doing it. That is what communications officers of your level ought to be doing. They ought to be taking the initiative to be proactive. I'm sure you have to run it by a PS, whatever, but I'm sure it's not a PS who have to tell you, John, put out a press release for that. I know you. You're the kind of guy, you take the lead and you take the first step and you move on things. You will act within the disciplined framework of the hierarchy and the line of authority. Yes, but I know you're going to put your head out. Keep it going, John. You just keep it going. Information is not something, and there's too much of that, stuck up hoity-toity attitude from too many people who have the power to share information, where they behave as if they don't owe you anything, and if you want, you can come and ask, but they themselves will not come out and say anything or do anything. I know you're not like that. You have a servant membership. You have a mentality. You have a servant serving people, doing your job kind of mentality, that the information is there. It is there for the public enlightenment, and you will work to enlighten the public and not remain stuck up. But we put out a press release 3 months ago about that, or if they want, they can always ask. I've received no request and so on. It's like police. I'm hearing less of it. Who tell you we have received no report, any reports to that effect. Well, who's going to give you the reports? Who's going to give you the reports? Except that you put yourself out to investigate things that you hear say through the grapevine things. You, the police, you go to sniff things out and to find out what is happening. Whatever it is, it don't have to be something sensational. Once it is something that has implications of even the most marginal risk or threat to the public safety, you look into it and so on. Not to stay in the station and in a very high horse kind of way. We've received no reports about this. Who's going to give you the reports? Where are you going to get the reports? But like I said, thankfully, a lot of things that used to be commonplace before, they're being faded out, and I'm very happy for that. So let's play this video from John Emmanuel, which, as with almost everything he puts out, it's kind of self-explanatory. It doesn't have to be spicy, sexy, sensational, or whatever. This is the way that you keep people informed, through a continuous outflow, through continuous reinforcement, through consistency, even of things that may seem to be mundane, but they contain information, that could mean a lot, that could mean everything to some people.
Minister for Equity, Labor, Gender, Elderly Affairs, Social Justice and Consumer Welfare, Honorable Emma Hippolyte, along with Permanent Secretary Dr. Shimon Hippolyte Emmanuel, on January 28, collaboration and service delivery across communities in St. Lucia. The session brought together social transformation officers, human service officers, welfare officers, and social officers, providing a rare opportunity for frontline professionals from different units to engage collectively on shared challenges, operational realities, including staffing and infrastructural challenges, while exploring ways to improve inter-unit and inter-agency collaboration to deliver more coordinated, accessible, and client-centered social services.
Today is bringing them all together in one room, trying to see how best we can understand the challenges that they have, the common challenges, we'll deal with them together outside of the ministry so that we can present to the community at large a one-stop shop. When you enter there, you can see all the social services that is provided of persons in the community in a more holistic way.
Participants welcome what they described as a renewed effort by the ministry to strengthen visibility and engagement at the community level.
There is a renewed effort on the part of the ministry to be more visible, especially at the community level, to have the public to understand the services that we provide, as well as the limitations, because we cannot be everything to everyone. So we are working in tandem with our minister to extend our reach to extend our reach into the communities, also to form collaborations between our ministry and other ministries who we may share roles with, overlap and partner with, as well as the parliamentary representatives, because this symbiotic relationship is very important for not only our work but for the fulfillment of respective mandates in the community.
Interagency and inter-unit collaboration came out strongly in terms of the field officers working together to provide the necessary services within their regions. We also spoke about the need for greater collaboration with the parliamentarians, district representatives of the various regions in terms of providing that support and ensuring that programs, work plans are aligned and to get the necessary support that is required to perform their duties within the various communities. Very good initiative, and I think we, as the minister suggested, quarterly sessions of that nature where under one roof these units are all under the same ministry. We meet and we plan accordingly to ensure that the services we provide are enhanced to meet the needs of the clients, because we all work with the same clients.
Minister Hippolyte indicated that the engagement formed part of a broader effort to build a more responsive, integrated and people-centered Ministry of Equity, with plans to continue structured collaborative sessions to further strengthen service delivery across the island.
Thank you very much, John Emmanuel, once again for that. And earlier in the week, Minister Hippolyte had visited some of the places where elderly, indigent, disadvantaged people, if I can put it so. Minister for Equity undertakes familiarization tour of Cornerstone and St. Lucia Crisis Center. That was on the 27th. So we're talking about 3 days ago. Newly appointed Minister for Equity, Labour, Jen Hippolyte, on January 27, 2026, undertook official visits to Cornerstone Humanitarian Society and the St. Lucia Crisis Center as part of a broader familiarization and sensitization exercise across her expanded ministerial portfolio. The visits form part of the minister's ongoing effort to gain a comprehensive ground-level understanding of the institutions, programs, and services that now fall under the remit of the Minister of Equity, with a view to strengthening coordination, improving service delivery, and fostering seamless synergies across the social protection sector. At Cornerstone Humanitarian Society, Minister Hippolyte engaged residents, many of whom are among the country's most vulnerable, including the elderly, persons with disabilities, and individuals experiencing homelessness. The minister then made a stop at the St. Lucia Crisis Center, a key non-profit, non-governmental organization providing support and advocacy for individuals and families affected by domestic violence and other crisis situations. There she received an overview of the center's work, its outreach and counseling services, and the challenges faced in responding to increasing and complex social needs. Minister Hippolyte emphasized that both institutions play critical role, noting the importance of strong collaboration between government and civil society to ensure timely, compassionate, and effective interventions for those in crisis. The Ministry of Equity holds responsibility for a number of key social and rehabilitative institutions, including, listen to this carefully, the Boys Training Center, as well as Cornerstone. According to the Minister, understanding how these entities function individually and collectively is essential to strengthening outcomes for at-risk and vulnerable populations. Okay, I'm going to stop here. There are a couple more paragraphs, but I think we can do with that. And you know something? If she has traveled since she won the election, I don't remember. I didn't hear of it. It probably was not something that was played up. But you got the feeling that Emma Hippolyte, they're not saying she's the only one, that she's more focused upon getting to know the lay of the land where her ministerial portfolios are concerned. What are the things that she has been given, the agencies, the units that she has been given responsibility for? Who are the key players in them? The actors, the stakeholders, the people that they benefit, so that she can plan and map out how she as minister is going to provide policy leadership and to oversee the implementation of those policies and to see that they're done in a manner that is not just made to look good in reports and in presentations and so on, but in actual work and transformation on the ground at the level of the people where meaningful change is made. And if I were a prime minister, or even the constituents, one of the first things I would watch about anybody who is a minister, especially a new one, and new not in the sense of being the first time you are elected to parliament and made a minister, but new in terms of taking over or being assigned a different portfolio. One of the first things I would watch is if you're too interested and you're too attaché in traveling. Before anything is, you have a conference of this and that to go to, of North African this and that, and you have to be in Casablanca and another one again, you something in South America, in Montevideo or whatever the name of the place is, you have to go to Uruguay and Paraguay and this and that, or you're up in Canada in the first few months, 100 days, this is one of the things, I examined about Alan Shasti when he became Prime Minister back in 2016. This guy had all the ideas. Kenny Anthony had done everything wrong. He was going to make everything right. But this guy, it was like he had this lust for being on a plane, to go to Dubai, to go to Canada, to go to this, to run here, to run there. Almost the man was like a headless chicken when it came to traveling, even to the point that I heard one of St. Lucia's more legendary announcers say that Chastney is traveling so much that when he comes to St. Lucia, arriving in St. Lucia looks like he's visiting, like he's a tourist. He's just coming to visit St. Lucia and he's scooting off again. I actually heard someone ask his father that, and the father said, yes, he needs to spend more time in St. Lucia. I don't know if he said it just to brush and blow off the person who was questioning. If I just pretend like I agree, they'll just leave that alone. Maybe that was a technique, but this guy was just too attaché in a non-stop travel, running there, hopping on a plane and going to Dubai and expecting to just say I'm the Prime Minister of St. Lucia and they'll grant him some kind of meeting when the people don't know in advance the craziness that was taking place. So I get the sense Emma is not too, and has never been, I'm sure she travels, but not too attaché and enragé between, like running here, running there, being at this conference. Is the photo op that's important for her, to be taking selfies or have pictures taken of her standing next to the president of this and that and the other. Some people, they just love, this kind of superficial thing. It gives them a rush and they're into it. And, congratulations, as they all call you, Auntie Emma, for not being like that. This is the real issues powered by Blue Waters. Didn't even realize it has crept past 1 o'clock already. So let's take our first break. And when we continue, a couple more things that I want to say, and then I'll be opening the phone lines. Although I realize these days we are in direct competition with the Independence Baton Relay. A lot of people are following that. It's quite a vibe, I must say. And a lot of people will be hooked into it. And naturally, this is the time of the day where real issues coexist with at least two other major talk shows that are on, I think, just about exactly the same schedule as we are. So no worries, we're going to do our thing. We've made it through another week. Thank God for that. Thank you for that.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This one will be massive! Legacy 2026, the Independence Edition. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. It's the big war! Legacy presents one of the Caribbean's greatest artists ever, the undisputed queen of soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Teddyson John, doing his vintage set. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast, a mix of legends and rising stars. Ashanti, Educator, Desra, Manchas, Black Eye, Short Pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120, regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barber Shop and The Way. Sponsored by Republic Bank, Massey Stores, First Citizen, IBS Solution, Piton Bear, Crystal Clear Water, Flow, and the Independence Committee.
Come on,
McDowell Supplements, an effective way to ensure you nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417, let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
You're listening to The Real Issues. We'll soon be opening the phone lines, but let me just say this. Heads of in the public sector especially, I'm not speaking for the private, about this private sector now, who are public information, public relations, communications sensitive and savvy, they will have the greatest success in terms of the feedback that they get, in terms of their performance indicators, in terms of effectiveness. They will have it. Because even when you don't quite get it right and you mess up, you are going to have your various publics. There is what we call general public, and there are particular publics. Depending on the service you are providing or the area that you are administering, you're going to have a lot more goodwill with your publics. If you demonstrate to them sharing is concerned, you're going to have more of that. And no matter what people think, I hear he doesn't seem to have resumed the show. I don't know if he'll resume it and so on. People have asked me. I'm none the wiser, but I guess he has his page and so on. We can ask him, can I help you, has not restarted. But you see this about a minister who's very busy, and whether he's in government, whether he's in opposition, whether he is, as for 5 years since he took a complete break from the parliament and so on, who finds the time, who makes the time to have a talk show, to be engaging with people, to be answering questions, to be agreeing, to be disagreeing, to be arguing, to be guided, to guide people and so on, to help people, as he says. Not can I help you, is I can help you. He's been helping people. I don't think a lot of us, including many of his colleagues, with the prerogative to do so, who directly engages with people like that. It's a powerful tool. It's a powerful instrument. It is effective and it delivers results. Well, I said not all people are cut from the same cloth. Not all people have the same capabilities. Some might be clumsy. They might go and they might bungle it in a manner that might make things worse. I don't think Stephenson King is the kind of person, but I remember, and I was telling you the story about my days at Radio Caribbean, when Romanus Lancico and Joe Cox did their best to intimidate and to directly, of course, to get rid of me. Because I was I was a known laborite and so on. I mean, Joe Cox used to go and have a program, government, whatever, that he used to do as the GIS program and so on, and on a couple of occasions, there were direct attacks on and play it on the GIS program. Now, why is something that is, if Vernet Sentoma were to do that now with NTN, GIS, whatever, the kind of flack she would get. When Henry Girodi said something on a UWP political platform and Joe Cox had it on a government notebook type of program the next day and so on, and almost like he's laughing on air when he presents it and so on. The personal thing about Julian Hunt, how he's a cigar-smoking, hard-drinking man who is, an impetuous fool among the things he called him. Hunt penned a letter and sent it to the manager of Radio Caribbean and told him, look, he considers that to be unacceptable, but he doesn't want to put unnecessary pressure on him, because he understands that he's under a lot of pressure already for granting part-time employment to one of his aides. Hunt's exact words. I know that you're under pressure for granting part-time employment to one of my aides. And I think Hunt also wrote to the new Minister of Information and Broadcasting, because by then John Compton had seen the wisdom, wisely I thought, of taking that portfolio from Romanus Lancico, who was always, it seemed, parading himself. And the time will come where you'll talk some foolishness, you'll end up, putting yourself and other people in trouble, or not well regarded and so on. Romanus Lancico was a publicity obsessed kind of person. It's been so for a long time. PR kind of man, always it have to be, he can never know when to end, And finally, and lastly, and one final word, and he'd continue on and on. He just didn't know when to stop. But Stephenson King became the minister. And in his own unassuming, no flair, no show off about him, he set about the task of being Minister of Information and Broadcasting. And I think the relations between the government and the media greatly healed because of Stevenson King. The kind of guy you got the impression if he had to tell somebody something, he would tell it to them, but he didn't bear any grudges. There was no vindictiveness. There was no going after anybody. If you went to tell him about something, he would listen quietly and he'd say, okay, I'll look into it. Because the communication was made to him about that, and thereafter the attacks just stopped. Joe Cox behaved himself. Lancico stopped his thing. In fact, Lancico kind of became my friend, I might say, the kind of handshake man who told me how, he's always been very impressed with me, whatever. I'm a good on this kind of thing. Joe Cox met me sometime down, somewhere down Piro, whatever, and so on. And, it was like I shook my hand and, don't worry about all this thing, man. This is just, normal things that happen in the course of media when we spar and this kind of thing. There's nothing personal. Let's have a drink and etc., that he was okay. To this day, I do not know for sure what Stevenson King may have told him, but I'm telling you, Stevenson King becoming Minister of Information and Broadcasting at the time brought about a change in the aggressive, in the bullying, intimidatory behavior of such as the late Joe Cox. Towards any media person who they felt, Even Matthew Roberts at the time was once principal information officer, and he felt, like Joe Cox was just, absolutely an irritant, and he wanted. But I was also inside there, and Matthew Roberts said, basically, if these people can't go, they'll have to look for another principal information officer. Matthew had his own no-nonsense ways about him, whatever you said. But, there was a certain decency in terms of the manner he carried himself as a public official and so on. Stevenson King has been given again, this time under a Labour government, coalition government really, the portfolio of information. I kind of felt that this portfolio in the previous 4 years, not that it was mishandled, not that it was done, but I just felt it didn't get the kind of attention that it should. Now I can understand when a minister has portfolios such as tourism, investment, festivals, heritage, culture, creative industries. It's easy maybe for one of them to kind of slip out of the field of view. It's easy for it to be, or to take for granted that, look, things like festivals, creative industries, culture, heritage, the Journée Creole Carnival thing, the vibe, it must encompass media, so media is always at the center and it will be brought there. It must be. It's not a bad way of thinking, and maybe that is not what nobody told me that this is what was the thinking. And you have capable and competent people, holding the fort at NTN, GIS, Vernet St. Thomas, Fontenelle. You have other people good at media relations, Rihani Isidore and Melissa Paul and so on. So you kind of feel the vibe is okay, it's being taken care of. But I have great hopes and expectations, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of confidence, a lot of, welcome to Stevenson King, to that portfolio of information. And just as in the past, he had his own quiet way of just moving things and making things happen without making any go-wash, without getting even into like he doesn't come to blows with people over everything. It's like Lancico, he doesn't come to blows with somebody over something, Like Shasney, he come to the house and he can't wait to get into some lady with the speaker and on and on and on it goes and so on, For all what they say, Richard Frederick, all the loud and brash that they say he doesn't come to the parliament and like he's always looking for a fight with somebody. Yeah, the way he talks, you may think, well, under some of it, he gets his message across. He says what he has to say. He says it firmly. He says it clearly, cogently and so on. But he doesn't allow the clarity of his message to be obstructed and obscured by he's always like he's ready to take off his shirt and fight with somebody. Lancico, it was that kind of thing. Joe Cox, I don't know who he was trying to impress. And it's not any people, Joe Cox always used to try if Rick Wynn come to some press conference. I don't know if it was to impress the UWP people that he's the man who can take on Rick Wynn, Joe Cox will start thumping his hand on the table. I will not allow these kinds of questions, I won't, the minister is taking the question, I think at one time King was the minister. King is there to tell your PR man to shut up, And that was vintage Rick Wayne, in the day and so on. But, folks, Stevenson King is the Minister of Information again. And like I say, I believe a lot can be done to improve the state of media, especially state media in the country, and to also raise the caliber, the competence, the quality of media people, especially the new young generation that is coming up, that I think are sincere, that I think are genuine in their desire to contribute, to perform, to make an impact and so on, in a manner that connects the technological access that they have on the phones. What do you know about Uber? What do you know about it? What do you think of it? Do you think it's a good idea to have Uber in St. Lucia? Do you think the sector and the whole transportation system, public transportation, private transportation, calling up of a taxi now, if we can do it from an app that will search for us, who's available, who's willing to come, as opposed to having to call, find out the numbers. I have a whole set of cards from taxi drivers who, when I came from Antigua and I didn't yet have transport, who I gave. Some days I would get any one of them, other days everybody is unavailable. They will tell me, I'm down Viewfort, I'm far away from your zone, I'm just heading into town, whatever. I couldn't get any of them. Is Uber going to be better to go on the app and the app will find for me who's available? Uber says that they will only be working if people who are already licensed taxi operators in St. Lucia. Is not to say they'll allow any and everybody, a free for all. Tout premier vini moon will take. Is it going to work? Why are some of us worried about it? Why do we think it is going to put our local taxi drivers out of business, or eat away at the business, or whittle away, at their livelihood? And, what it is that you know about Uber, and what are your thoughts about it? Call us and tell us as of now. Jacqueline, I need to have that phone rigged up properly. The landline number is 4533-911, and you can also reach us via WhatsApp calling. It's the number on which you can WhatsApp call us, and you can also reach us on the landline 4533-911. As of now, we are open to take your calls. Now, until we begin to see the red light flashing or the screen coming alive, let me read the press release that's basically announced officially, I would say, the presence of Uber, in St. Lucia. Let me see if I can get that on my, sometimes, Let me see. All right. Do I have any messages there? Good afternoon to you. Muriel, thank you very much for always sending me those nice messages to let me know that you're listening and wishing me the best. Likewise to you. All right, let me see if I can get this Uber. All right. Uber is now available in St. Lucia. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Hi. Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Is that Real Issues?
Yes, it's Real Issues with Shelton Daniel.
Okay, I'm calling about the Uber situation.
All right.
Uber is the best thing to happen to St. Lucia presently.
And I'm hearing that. And am I hearing this from a taxi driver?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Licensed, certified taxi driver.
Okay. For how long?
For how long? About 15 years now.
Okay, that's a long time. You're a veteran.
15 years. Mm-hmm. You know how it's difficult to get onto an association? Trying to get into association presently, if you don't have $80,000 to $150,000, you're not going to be in any of those associations. This associations is a friend thing.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So what I'm going to say right now, all the licensed certified taxi drivers with the TX split that is not under any of those associations, come out and join the Uber. Join with Uber, because you will not be begging by the roadside anymore. You don't have to go to the side of the cruise ship where they chase you, the higher police officers chase you. Go to Uber, make your daily bread, stay at your home when you're not working, and join with Uber.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So you're saying that there's quite a lot of taxi drivers who cannot get into an association. They have to be functioning as basically...
Nobi usually calls you all the time. You know how many years I've been begging Nobi when Nobi was the president?
When who was the president?
Nobi.
Okay.
When he was the president, begging, couldn't get a chance. Women who comes in, get a chance. Police officers who come to guard the gate for him, would get a chance and become taxi drivers. So presently, right now, you have half of the policemen are taxi drivers, licensed taxi drivers, because of that. And other people who struggled on the outside, with license, certified, cannot get an association up to what they like today.
So how do you get work if you can't get into an association?
Well, I have a smartphone, I have a laptop, I have a internet at home.
Okay.
And customers that I usually drive off, I would also give them my information. So when they're coming back or they send friends coming back to St. Lucia, would offer me some call. That's how I get work.
So what do you know about Uber? How would Uber get, for example, somebody like you into the system if you're not part of an association? Where are you?
I don't know too much about Uber, but I've studied about it and seen it happen around the world. You apply to them. And the way they pay you off is going to be even better for you. You'll be able to save your money better that way.
No. Here's what I'm asking. When Uber comes and they decide that they're going to register or enroll people who are licensed taxi drivers, how do you think it's going to happen? They'll go to the association. So since you're not a member of the association, hold on. We're not having this conversation for ourselves alone. We want the people listening to us to be able to follow. So let us say they go to the associations to enroll the people who are registered there. For you, a lone wolf, where else are you registered as a taxi driver that Uber can go to get
a job out there? You apply to the business place. You have to apply to them. That's how they get you. They won't come to the association, I doubt. Especially what's going on now, they won't come to the association.
Okay, here's what I think I'm trying to find out. You as a taxi driver, a certified one, are you also registered with the Ministry of Tourism or Transport, whatever, so that there is a database there that even if no association has accepted you into membership, you are still in an official database at the Ministry of Tourism?
Yes, because when you go to renew, your license plate, you read as an independent taxi driver. That means you are not. So that means they know you that doing taxi, they have your license, they authorize you, but you are not tied to any association. You are an independent person.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Take care.
Right. Okay, Real Issues, we're taking your calls and someone's calling us on the WhatsApp line right now. You're on the air, my friend. Go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to say one thing about the Uber situation.
Yeah.
We already have a very aggressive tourism industry. That the majority of our tourism industry is foreign owned. And so quite a lot of the money earned is being extracted out of the economy. Uber represents another plank in that vein. That money, rents will be extracted out of the solution to an economy. A better approach would be to try to work at the local level to have a similar app registered in St. Lucia called Alley. But I don't know how successful they are. But my thought about Uber is this is just more extraction of profits from the tourism industry out of the St. Lucian economy. Not only that, it is also extracting money out of the economy for normal economic activity in St. Lucia.
Okay. So you're not in favor of it?
No, I'm not in favor of it. I've lived in other countries where I've seen Uber in action and the effect it has on the local economy in many places. And this is in economies that are much more diversified than St. Lucia. And I would say that already more than 80%, this is just another rent extraction from the economy.
All right. You don't believe it can result in better efficiencies in terms of linking the customer to the service provider if the customer can go on an app, request a taxi service from a specific location, and it does all the searching for you about who's available, where you can get, and so on, and then somebody comes to pick you up instead of you having to go and to call this number, that number, not available, no, but it does the work for you. You don't think that'll make enough of a significant difference to economize the whole process better?
Let me explain it this way. It's quite different from having a foreign company in possession of such an app, operating such an app in the local economy and extracting rents out of the economy. Now, the app itself is a welcome efficiency, but it does not need to be owned by Uber. Need to be in solution. Okay. All right. There is a local app. I do not know how efficient or how effectively they are operating, called Alley.
Somebody mentioned it.
I don't know how another app can be made available. You must also understand there are economies of scales with multinationals who can come into your market and undercut prices for other people offering similar services like Ali or other taxi drivers. And so they can take over the market, and they can do that because of the business heft, the multinational heft they have. They can undercut prices, and so they can distort the market. And all they're doing is extracting money out of an economy that has already so much. Tourism industry is not owned by any locals.
All right, you sound like someone who has some kind of, expertise in things like economics and whatever it is, business and so on. I wish I could.
And economic law and economic policy impact assessment.
Wow. Okay. So is it possible that we can have some kind of communication, and maybe we can see whether we can, organize some longer discussion, some more in-depth discussion on this matter with you as a participant?
Yes, I can do so. I'm an intellectual property and investment law specialist. And I do legal economic impact assessment, regulatory impact assessment.
All right. Okay. If you're able to take my number, maybe you can call me and shoot me a message or something after the program.
I can do so.
My mobile number is 286 55 86 86.
86.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks also. Oh, didn't realize we've already skipped past 1:30. So let's take the break, and then when we come back, we'll take more calls and messages on the whole Uber matter. And that press release, I've been trying to read the whole of it in one go, but every time the calls and the discussions take me off it. Maybe I'll be able to do so today, but I think the gist of the whole matter, I think it was captured by this a little bit in terms of what are your thoughts on Uber operating.
Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This one will be massive. Legacy 2026. The Independence Edition. It's one of the Caribbean's greatest artists ever. The undisputed queen of soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Teddyson John, doing his vintage set.
I must have a woman to come and wind up on me.
And King Alpha. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast of Short pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m. Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120. Regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barbershop and The Way. Sponsored by Republic Bank, Massey Stores, First Citizen, IBS Solution, Piton Bear, Crystal Clear Water, Flow.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating triple magnesium, relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice, Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This is the Real Issues powered by Blue Waters, and right away we have somebody on the WhatsApp line already. You're on the air, go ahead.
Give my 2 cents about the Uber. Yes, I personally don't support it because I have a lot of friends that are taxi drivers and I ask them about it. And all of them is the same thing they say. It's like coming and take bread away from them. I mean, it could be good in a sense that it would, give a better service and make the guys improve on their service. But when I speak to my brother that's also a taxi driver, all of them keep on saying the same thing, that, it's foreign, it will just come and take the little that they have. And, sometimes some of the taxi drivers are already struggling because the tourist is a seasonal thing. So it can have it upside and a downside, but I don't support it at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're getting call on the landline straight away. Real Issues, you're on the air.
Hi, Shelton.
Hey, how you doing?
Not too bad. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay. That sound like the voice of a socialist who's going to take an anti-Uber stance. Tell me if I'm wrong or right.
Hello?
I said that sounds like the voice of a socialist who's
not quite. Not quite as hard as it is.
You saw for a moment it sounded like you completely missed the joke,
Look, Shelton, I'm inclined to agree with your last caller for the main reason that she outlined in terms of extraction of resources from an already beleaguered small island nation like ours, and especially in light of what is happening in the world, bullying. I'm not even going to military part, at least not now, not yet. But in terms of the economic bullying that is taking place in the world right now, Shelton, one of the things that I just read in terms of it did is that Uber must have a local partner a local partner, and this is how it operates in places outside of countries like the U.S. and so on. This is what obtains in Barbados, the Dominican Republic, and this is what will obtain here. Now, we don't know. The lady that you spoke with mentioned that we already have a local company. She doesn't know just what stage the local company is at, and so on. But we already have a local company engaged in that. We don't know whether Uber will engage that local company as its own island partner, or whether it will seek another partner to go in direct competition with that local company which is already in existence. We don't know those things, but because you know as well as I do that in terms of pricing, the government has set out a regimen of pricing in terms of short trips, longer trips, and so on. What I think the government ought to do, and that is crucial, and I'll tell you why. A couple of years ago, my wife and I spent our anniversary down in Soufrière, and we were a short distance away from the Beacon restaurant in Soufrière, and we spoke to a number of operators, some of whom were private. They were not taxi operators that we had spoken with. The type of prices that they had given us, and we were not pleased with those prices. One or two private people who were more or less moonlighting, for want of a better term, wanted to take us to the Beacon, but the prices, in our opinion, were still to a very short trip. No more than about five minutes would get us there. Okay. And those people, and I know, short trip, according to the government regimen, is something like $20, maybe $25, and those refused to pay that until finally, Mary said, "Look, we're hungry. She's not in a mood, to walk to the Beacon." So a guy asked us to pay $40. We did finally. But the government needs to institute measures like putting prices out, just like Barbados does at places like the airport, and so on. Puts those price ranges, put those at that price regimen out there, so people know. And whether it's in Castries, whether in Soufrière, whether at airports, whether at other places that are conspicuous to people, so people can know just what those prices are in terms of moving from point A to point B. But the thing is, again, before this Uber thing is even given the green light, there must be thorough discussion about that, because of that major reason that your last caller mentioned, in terms of extracting St. Lucia. Thanks, Shelton.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Shelton. I live in New York, and I love Uber and Lyft, Lyft. Now it has its pros and cons. Pro, if for example you're going from Grosile to VA4, they charge you $80 and you get an estimated time of arrival. You can spend 3 hours on traffic, the fare remains the same. Con, rush hour, snow, rain, etc., the price doubles. For example, Labor Day, my daughter was not feeling well and we had to take her to the ER. That's a 10-minute drive away and would cost around $9. We were charged $52 and wait time was 15 minutes. We walked there. The locals want to charge you exorbitant fees in US and not EC, after hours price, etc. Not sure how it will work in St. Lucia, but ... We have a caller on the WhatsApp line. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Shelton.
Hi, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, this is Peter the Great here.
Hey, what's up, Peter?
Yes. I just want to share a little bit about that Uber business. Because I've been a taxi driver in St. Lucia for quite a long time. I'm part of a member of the Holiday Taxi Association and Grosile Taxi Association, an independent market taxi association. I've been involved in a lot of them. Now I live here in a foreign country where Uber is prevalent. And also, I would like to find out in St. Lucia, who are the people that is involved in that Uber business? Whether it is foreigners.
It seems to be
local.
foreigners, because the person who put out the press release, I contacted that person and said I had some questions, and they said, well, they have to pass the questions to the people who are responsible for Uber, who are apparently outside of St. Lucia and are not even native English speakers. It looks like they are people from South America, mostly Dominican Republic, mostly Spanish-speaking people. And I asked for an interview, and I was told, look, it would be difficult for them to do a live interview because they might struggle, with understanding and expressing themselves. But if you send the questions to them, then they're able to, properly review it, whether with translation, look at translating software and whatever, and formulate responses that they can send to you, So from everything I've heard, there's no local representative per se, you understand, that you can say, well, this is the Uber St. Lucia representative, or from what I've been able to find out.
So who is certifying them to operate in St. Lucia?
Well, it seems whoever is certifying taxi services in St. Lucia would have to.
Well, is that against the constitution of St. Lucia? A foreign entity will come and operate Uber taxi?
No, they will not be operating taxis themselves. So it's not a case that they will be putting taxis on the road to compete with local taxis.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, okay.
I understand that. But this is all the callers revenue. The revenue the taxi drivers will be collecting from the little foreign tourists that coming into St. So I see, because with your previous caller, what the lawyer, probably she lives somewhere in foreign, and said that St. Lucia has something called Ale or something that she spoke about.
Yes.
But I am in St. Lucia. These things need to come under one umbrella and create their own Uber, because St. Lucia is not flat.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes, my friend. Yes, I understand.
Because the little tourists that sometimes you will find taxi drivers, and then sometimes you will not find any. I understand the whole system of Uber.
But you saying we can develop our own local equivalent of Uber.
Exactly.
It's a sad thing that we only seem to be energized to those things when they're by now being better known and people be more aware of them.
Another thing again, Shelton. You remember during the political campaign, this guy from Mikud said that he was giving Uber.
Okay, I don't remember that.
That is not Jeremiah Cousin, the same one that ran. What's his name?
What's his name?
Elisha. Elisha said that he was giving Uber. He had a lady here. You remember that?
Yeah, I don't know. Elisha said so many things.
That have to be some kind of thing involved in that thing there.
Okay.
Trust me. But that has something to do with this.
Well, let me ask you this. If we were to block Uber from St. Lucia, say we're not allowing them to operate in St. Lucia, do you realize there could be consequences in terms of sanctions because we are essentially stymieing free trade, we are being discriminatory against, some cross-border...
Sheldon, they will have to put people in the country, 180,000 people that is in St. Lucia,
Okay, all right. Okay, Brads.
All right. Yeah,
Donald Trump might come for us because we're discriminating against Uber, and I don't look forward to that. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's take our final call. That has to be our final one. Real Issues. Yeah, hi, Real Issues, you're on the air. Hello? Call ended. Okay, so we seem to have lost that one. Let's see if we can pick it up again. Hello? Hi, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Shelton. Carlton here.
Hey,
just wanted to chime in on this whole Uber thing.
Yes.
I'm mixed when it comes to it. But the good thing I would say is that only taxi drivers will be involved in St. Lucia. So there will not be a disruption of the taxi service as such. It will not. It shouldn't be putting taxi drivers out of business. The only thing I see is that the different taxi associations may become obsolete, because if taxi drivers could operate for Uber, there may be no need for taxi associations. In terms of people saying that we have a local competitor, I think it's unfair. Uber is a juggernaut, and they have a customer service department, which is one of the best features. For example, if you have a dispute, that could be resolved in like a matter of a minute. I don't think that local company has that capability. The other thing is that you know your prices up front, and Uber has different classes of different prices for different classes of vehicles. I think this is a good feature. My worry is that Uber uses dynamic pricing. The prices vary depending on supply and demand time of the day. So St. Lucian may find this a bit unsettling in that rush hour, you may pay $50 for a trip you normally would pay $20 for.
Okay.
That's how dynamic pricing works.
Okay.
But it would introduce a measure of certainty into the taxi industry. You book a taxi through the app, you know exactly what time it is coming. Not, half an hour, you have the opportunity to, in fact, if you're not satisfied, to book another vehicle. So I don't expect to see that the disruption we've seen in other countries where private drivers have driven taxi drivers out of business. Because if it is going only through directly through taxi drivers, then I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
There may be a little disruption, but not the extent we've seen in the United States, where taxi companies have run into serious difficulties.
Okay.
That's
well,
my 2 cents.
Thank you very much for sharing your views. I may ask you to participate in a more in-depth discussion, on this matter. Maybe somebody who holds views contrary to yours. Sometime next week. I hope you'll be able to accept, and that
Yeah,
will be
I'll be quite
available.
willing. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Because I've actually done some research. I use Uber a lot, and I intended to